How do they look for the optimism, though? I mean, Kyle, you just laid out a lot of things from the two young guys, even Yabusele, you mix him in there, bringing back Paul George, Joel Embiid, seeing what. But is there any other way for this Sixer fan base to look for the optimism? Because already, as you were doing your read and checking back, just because it kind of recall, one person in the chat said they're about to be 3-15. This season is lost. So. But that's where it is right there. That's Richard N saying they're going to be 3-15. The season is lost. LOL. I can't tell them that they're not going to lose to the Houston Rockets tomorrow night, or even the Detroit Pistons on Friday.
Listen, I posted on Twitter. I said I think Tari Eason and Amen Thompson are going to look like
it's a 25
the Heatles against Jeremy Lin at the end of Linsanity tomorrow night. That is going to be absolutely disgusting.
The defense that they're going to play on those guys. Oh, my
God. It's going to be...
You saw what the Clippers did. Now you got these two maniacs out there running around.
I was about to drop a word I can't say on the show, quoting Method Man from a Wu-Tang Clan album.
Go with the maniacs.
Here's what I would say. The optimism comes from you have to believe that what is happening to Joel Embiid right now and what he's dealing with is going to clear up at some point. And when I say this, I look you, all of you, square in the eye. So just so you were clear, I understand why you would not feel optimistic about it, right? When the team is prepared, or it's like everything's on schedule, and then you miss like 9 games or whatever it was to open the year, some of those due to suspension, but you missed the start of the season, then you play 2 games in 3 days, and you have swelling that knocks you out for, this is now a week, right? It's been a week since he played. It's going to be a week plus absence no matter when he comes back at a minimum. I understand all the accumulation, all of that. It could also, I'm not saying it will be, it could also just be you were unfortunate right now and maybe you'll get fortunate later, right? Like one of the things that's so hard to do in any discussion about sports is to properly factor in, how much luck factors in, right? And it's a bad place to be when you're dealing with health luck, right? It's bad enough dealing with shooting luck and things like that, which I actually asked Nick Nurse about today. But you're basically just hoping that Joel Embiid's knee will cooperate. And I get why that is such a debilitating, frustrating thing to do, but maybe his knee will respond, or maybe he will just figure out at some point, this is the new reality. My knee I'm going to have to play with, some level of pain in the knee. It doesn't mean that he's, he can't walk or he can't move. It means you're just going to have to deal with it. I think I brought this example up with you yesterday, Devon. If I didn't, correct me. Chris Paul has played with one meniscus in his knee for 14 years. I know that Chris Paul is 6 feet tall and not dragging all the weight that Joel Embiid is up and down the floor, but he has managed to be an incredible basketball player for a very long portion of that 14 years, including after people thought his career was completely over. And then he ripped off 3 consecutive All-Star, All-NBA seasons.
Yep.
So
you brought it up yesterday.
Yeah. So I will reiterate, Joel Embiid needs to have Chris Paul's habits, right? Chris Paul, one thing he is notorious for is being and I mean this in the best way possible, a maniac, right? Like he is as diligent as someone can be about his game, his body, his off-court, all just as a competitor. Some people that even rubs them the wrong way. That's why the James Harden thing didn't work, because those two were, oil and water in terms of the personality and all that. But that's why I keep hammering the Joel off-court stuff. He's going to have to deal with physical decline, whether it's, sharp the way it looks right now or more gradual. How he responds to it and how he learns to manage this is part of the process. I do think you can retain some optimism because the skill level is so high that as long as he can get to a place where he can just manage it, but he can get to a point where he manages it, the skill level will be there, and then he still has the synergy with Tyrese Maxey. You still have Paul George. You still have Jared McCain. The talent for this team is there. but he's got to get on the floor. There is just no way around it.
If you are going to sell any hope, and look, this isn't necessarily me saying I believe in this dose of optimism, but your big, I'll call it big four. I'm going to stick with that. Your big four have played a combined 6 minutes together. So if they did ever find a way to get on the floor and stay on the floor, which again, I don't know how it's going to happen. I certainly am not going to give you any optimism. It will happen on a consistent basis based on what's happened so far. But I agree with Kyle. They certainly have the talent. And if it was just freak injuries that have left them sitting here at 3-13, we would be having the conversation of, oh, they're only 4.5 back of the 6 seed or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. They certainly have the talent to make up that gap. Yada, yada, yada. It really is. First of all, you would have loved for Nick to find a way to steal 1 or 2 or 3 more of those games just to put them in a better chance. But also, it's just the fact that we have no confidence right now that they're going to sit here and be able to find a way to consistently be healthy. It's been very, very tough. It's one thing, like I said, to play poorly. It's one thing to put yourself in a hole. But if you're going to climb out of that hole, you have to be close to your top self, and they're just nowhere near it.
A minor thing with the Joel Embiid piece, if he is out there, let's say he does get out there, and he's fighting through it, he's playing through it, the fan base can tell because he wears his emotions on his sleeve, and sometimes he can have that droopy dog kind of face, and that can just zap the energy, of course, of what happens in the arena if they're at home. You can see it through the television. The teammates see it. And when you see something like that, and you got the moping that we talk about, or the flailing of the arms if something doesn't go right, fighting with the officials while the rest of the team is running back the other way, since they've created the hole that they have no room for error where everything you have to do every little intangible to get yourself back into it. And if you believe that he can go in there with that type of mindset after having that closed door meeting that, yes, some things leaked out, but guess what? Even though some of those things leaked out, forget about doing your investigative Inspector Gadget type of stuff and find out who leaked it. Just go and play. And when you go out there and play, that shuts all of that stuff down. Now, look, and even Inspector Gadget, he has some cool things. He can give him like a little boost for cover up his knee and help him out. Maybe he can jump a little bit higher and dunk a basketball. But man, everything matters from here on out. We expect them to lose on Wednesday. There's a chance that they lose on this road trip also. You guys brought up something too. When the season really is lost for the teams that expect to lose, they absolutely just start tanking, as we talked about that. They want to get their better draft position. You brought up the Jazz and the Wizards and all those other teams. If the Sixers do their job, they could naturally just move up, even if it's back into that 8 or 7 spot, if they get those guys back. So the optimism there is, while you don't want to rely on some of the other teams to do the things that they're doing by looking for a better draft position and shutting certain things down, which you are not going to do, if you win these games, they're on merit going to lose, and they're also going to lose because they are trying to find themselves, as far as the lottery goes and the NBA draft goes, starting to fall right back down in that Eastern Conference standings where you will move up as a result of those things.
We all silly like the mayor.